Welcome. My name is Giles, and I'm the podcast host for the FinTeens podcast. FinTeens is an international organization inspiring young people in the world of finance and investing. Co-hosting the interview with me today is Sheraz Ali, the co-founder and president of FinTeens. Joining us today is Lloyd, who is an American wealth investor, investment strategist, and entrepreneur. Luke advises individuals and businesses on how and where they should invest their capital, depending on the economy and politics. He's also a frequent appearance on Fox News, CNBC, Bloomberg, and many other famous organizations, where he shares his expertise on the economy and stock markets. We are very pleased to welcome Lloyd.
Thanks for having me, guys. Like I told you before, I wish that I had something when I was 15, 16, 17 years old like this that you guys are doing. I mean, this is phenomenal. Because I can already tell the passion that you guys have for the financial world, for entrepreneurship. That's really cool, guys. Keep it up.
Thank you. Now, Luke, could you tell us what first interested you in the world of finance and investment, and how did your educational background in maths, economics, and business management help or influence your career in finance?
Yeah, so to understand, I guess, my philosophy, my story, and why I'm passionate about what I do, you kind of have to understand more about, I think, where I grew up, right? I grew up Southeast Ohio, which is a big blue collar steel mill coal mining area, right? And my area, it was kind of going to the downside growing up because, the coal mines and steel mills were closing up. No one really had that much jobs. There wasn't really that much money around the area. So I was always interested in money because no one really had much money per se in my area, right? So I started to really study what money could do, the innovation, the free markets, the power of capitalism, right? And that's what really motivated me to really dig deep. And, I always say that I don't love making money, but I love the study of money, right? So that led me to college to study mathematics, economics, business. And that's truly when I fell in love about what money can do and how, money can truly help everybody. We can solve the world's problems by allocating money properly, right? If you put, and this is why I'm a big advocate for small business rather than, a big government, right? Because the government's not very good at allocating dollars usually. They're very inefficient usually at spending dollars. The free markets, private enterprise, people that have great ideas that then can allocate to those ideas to hire the right people, the right technology, to put it all together to make it work. That's where you start to really see money work to really move the world forward, right? And that's what's always been a big motivational thing for me, just because it changes the world and helps everybody out in some sort of way, right?
Yeah, thank you for that answer. That's great. So working at the New York Stock Exchange must have been a unique experience. Can you share some moments or key learnings from your time there that could help others in their financial career? And
Yeah, so
yeah.
that goes right along with, I guess, that path towards, I went to college, studied money, and this is where one of the most important things where people get wrong in the financial community, that they do get wrong in the financial community, as well as entrepreneurship, is that it's not all about numbers. I mean, we can talk numbers, we can talk about money, whatever that is, right? It's really about people. And this whole world is changed by meeting people and sharing ideas and being able to leverage the strengths and weaknesses of people, right? So one of the things I made it a priority to do in college was network my butt off, to meet as many people as possible. I was on the board of trustees because I was the student body president at my small college that I went to. One of the guys was editor-in-chief of CNBC. So he told me my sophomore year, he's like, Luke, if you ever need anything, let me know. I'd be glad to help you out and make some phone calls if I need to. I'm like, that sounds awesome. I really do appreciate that. My junior year of college came around, and I reached out to Nick and I said, Nick, I'd love to go to New York City and work for CNBC, intern there and see where it goes. He's like, Luke, I wish you would have emailed me a week before because our internship window closed. I'm like, well, crap, there goes my opportunity. He emails me a week later and says, Luke, we pulled some strings and got you in. That's the power of meeting people and how just you can leverage some, pulling some strings and leverage the power of that network to do something, right? So I ended up moving to New York City. I ended up working at CNBC headquarters a couple of days out of the week, the New York Stock Exchange a couple of days out of the week. And that's actually where I'm at currently. The majority, my mentor, who I view as my mentor, and that leads into my whole philosophy is you have to find mentors. If you are young, in your 20s, before your 20s, in your 30s even, no one, even the people in their 40s and 50s that are late on in their career, they always have a mentor somewhere, some way that they can bounce ideas off of. So I ended up meeting Mark Tepper, who I view as my mentor, who's the owner of Strategic Wealth Partners, where I'm at now. And he's really helped mentor me and show me the ropes and show me the ways. And that's where, you never know who you're going to meet. So I worked at the New York Stock Exchange, like you said. I met with a lot of floor traders. One of the names, Jay Woods. He kind of took me under his wing. We still stay in touch to this day. It's just like you meet these really interesting, really cool people that you can share ideas with, and just really utilize their networks, and they can utilize your networks as you grow, right? So it's really about sharing ideas, meeting people, and seeing how you can help each other out in some sort of way, because you can't just keep on taking in life. Eventually you have to give something, right? So you have to return the favor some way down the road. And I think that's the whole theory of, passing it on and teaching and being a mentor. Once you have mentors, being the mentor to somebody else eventually down the road as well, right? So New York Stock Exchange, really cool experience. Met a lot of really interesting, cool people. Also got to learn things about the financial markets that I'd never even thought of. I was always interested in the trading aspects of the markets, but I really never dug too deep into technical analysis. So the CMT designation, I don't know who knows what the CMT designation is. Chartered Market Technician is the designation. Jay Woods, the guy I met there, actually incentivized me to start studying technical analysis. So again, it's just, you get to be in these circles of people that are sharing their knowledge with you that greatly impacts you. You just got to put yourself in those situations and don't be scared to move out to New York City. I come from a small town, right? Going to New York City was a huge culture shock. You can't be afraid to make those big moves in life, or you're going to be at a disadvantage.
Definitely. That's great advice on the power of personal networks. Also, you kind of leaned into our next question, which is moving on to your role as a CNBC as a quantitative data analyst. How did this position shape your understanding of the financial markets?
Right. So again, I met a lot of really cool people working on that team, the quantitative data team. It helped me really think about the markets in a different way. It was more, I always thought it was all numbers, and I actually come from the quant side of things per se. I was trying to start up an algorithmic trading company in college, and the algorithmic trading company, we were using technical and fundamental analysis, using all these fun things to create some sort of AI program back then to then predict an outcome of a security and where it was going to trade. We actually were using that on the crypto markets first, when they first kind of were becoming popular in 2015, 2016, 2017, right? Really hitting, growing that way. But the quant side of things is not necessarily how the markets work. Once you start to really understand, and it's funny, working as a quantitative data analyst, you'd think I'd dig deeper on the quant side of things. On that team, I started to really realize that the markets are all influenced by supply and demand. That's all it is, right? I mean, that's all the financial markets are. Why a security is trading at a certain price. It's because there's either demand for it or someone trying to buy it, somebody trying to sell it, right? So when you start to understand that it's all psychology based, right? The markets are all moved because of people. And you really start to then understand that you have to study people to understand the markets, right? Really, the markets are all psychology. It's predicting future outcomes based on human behaviors. And that's all economics is. It's a study of people and behaviors, right? So it kind of shaped my way and philosophy of how the markets are moving. And it's not actually just all quant based, even though that's important. And 90% of the trading volume on the S&P 500 is quant based now. That's just market makers, trading fractional shares for pennies on the dollar, right? The real big movements happen on sentiment, big sentiment changes throughout the psychology of people, right?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
Luke, what you were saying about networking, what do you think for a young person who maybe doesn't have connections that they can go to, or family connections, friends who want to get into finance but just don't have those connections? What would you say to them? Do you think LinkedIn, or that's how we got in contact with you, but cold calling, cold emailing, what would you say?
All of the above.
Yeah.
My whole philosophy on life, and it's the easiest thing you can do, but majority of people don't do it. All you need to do in life, I think, a lot of times to get ahead is to just ask for what you want. If you just
Right.
ask somebody for help, or you just frankly show up to their office. Don't be weird about it, but like show up to their office and say, hey, especially you guys, you're 16, 17 years old, 15, 16 years old, I think you guys said. You guys show up to an office and you just knock on a door and say, hey, I'm interested in this. I want to do this. I'll work for free. I just want to kind of shadow in what you guys do, right? You just got to ask and say, hey, I'm interested in this. Can you help me out? A lot of people want to talk, about themselves. People love talking about themselves. So sometimes can be annoying, but people love talking about themselves. They love talking about what they did. So, you can easily if you just come across in a very interested kind of way and you kind of put down the barriers and you start looking at people as just people. So many people look at people that are high up in the world, these multimillionaires, even billionaires. They put them on this pedestal and pretend they're like these inhumane, these non-human kind of people. Like they're above everybody, right? Everyone is, once you start to realize that we're all just kind of doing the same thing and no one's really got the secret sauce per se. Like we all obviously, we're always learning and becoming more educated, whatever it be, but no got the secret sauce, whole solution to the whole world. Once you start to really understand we're all just trying to figure things out, then you kind of put everyone on the level playing field. So don't be afraid to just ask for what you want. And if you don't have the resources, if you come from a small town like I did, move to the big city, get outside of your comfort zone. Like just go somewhere big, don't be afraid. Don't be stupid with your money. Don't go into debt where you shouldn't go into debt and things like that. But don't be afraid to go to, and this is, I know you guys are young, but like, don't be afraid to go join organizations and spend a couple $1,000s to join organizations, to be around people, right? To go to a high-end, club, if not for you guys, once you're over 21 years old or whatever laws you have in the countries that you're in, once you're able to grab a drink or something, go to a high-end cocktail bar or something like that. And, try to, you might be overpaying for drinks or something like that, or a steak dinner. I'll use a steak dinner, for example. Go to high-end steakhouse. Maybe you'll overpay for a steak and maybe you're going to spend a lot of money on steak, but it's going to put you around these successful people for you to ask questions on, right? It's that kind of mentality and way of thinking that really helps you put you into better situations,
Right. And Luke, so what you were saying about economics really being the study of people, so just to go on a wider scale to global investments, how do you think Americans or the Western countries need to change their investment strategies and invest nationally or internationally to keep up with the success of the East or BRICS, China, India?
Yeah.
Such as, I'll give the example, the Chinese government making strong alliances or political alliances in Africa as they're putting in loans and funding there.
I'll start off by saying the first point there is you have to invest in what you know. I am okay and comfortable outsourcing investments to areas that I have no idea about. I just don't know the culture very well. I don't know the people very well. I don't know the behaviors very well, what's going on. I'm more than happy to outsource some things. I have macro takes where I think the areas might do better, might do worse, but the individual maybe securities and allocation of capital within that country, I'm more than happy to pay somebody else that I trust to dig a little bit deeper to pick the individual securities. Now, on top of that, the macro side of things, from a macro perspective on allocating to certain countries, not the individual securities within a country, then you can definitely take a look at where money's flowing, what kind of geopolitical conflicts are happening, as well as what kind of policy within the country is going to be pro-business. But like, for example, India is a growing market, and it's actually a very innovative hub, a tech hub as well, right? India kind of gets me excited. It's a growing population, middle class is growing like crazy over in India. That's pretty exciting. So you have to take a look at, one, where money is flowing, where people are leaving. It's all about people. What populations are growing. America's kind of stagnant. We're not growing. We're not producing. We're not having kids here in America. That's an economic problem as well. Because to innovate, to increase wealth in a nation, unless technology is replacing the output, the efficiency enough, you need more minds in immigration or reproduction in a society. So that kind of concerns me about America in the long term. Mexico, I think because of the issues in China, because of how reliant we've been on China for a long time, a lot of the business is going to come to Mexico, right? So that's why we actually are investing in Mexico right now, because the onshoring supply chain issues we've seen the past 3 or 4 years. So these behaviors you really start thinking about these behaviors. Oh, we had these supply chain issues which caused was one of the reasons we had the sky high inflation across the world. Well, maybe here in the United States, at least, this North America, we're going to bring more of the supply chain home. So what countries are going to benefit? Mexico, right? That's the macro way of thinking about things and putting it together. And I'm more than happy to hire somebody in Mexico to pick the individual securities because I know the money is flowing to Mexico. That's kind of the way I think about it.
Yeah, definitely. That was some good advice on global investments. And as the financial world is rapidly changing, where do you see the future of wealth management and investment strategy heading? And how do you plan to adapt and guide your clients in the coming years?
Again, it goes back to people. I think there's going to be a big mixture and trend towards some sort of combination between technology and people. We already saw that with robo advisors. I'm sure you guys have heard like a Betterments or there's a couple other apps out there that have, kind of try to be the robo advisor, the acorns where you kind of, every time you spend a credit card, invest it rounds up the dollar to then go ahead and, invest into your account. There's a lot of robo advisors out there that charge you maybe 25 basis points, 0.25%, or 50 basis points, 0.5%. They're a lot cheaper than advisors, but they don't have human interaction. And I think that people are getting this wrong in today's world, that we're going to go to this completely technology focused world, that metaverse world, that we're never going to interact with people. We won't have to interact with people. I think that's almost it's a very scary thing to think about, but I think it's really wrong because I think we all crave human interaction for the most part. We're a social species. We do like to be social. We like to, there's a reason why people are addicted to their phones, because of social media, right? Because of Instagram, Facebook. Like, we always are trying to compare ourselves to others. That's a social thing in itself. We're always the reason why, a lot of people are materialistic in today's world. They want to buy the fancy suits. They want to go out and, live the fancy life. They want to buy the nice car, the big house, whatever it be. Like, we want to show off, right? And the part of showing off is, you got to be around people to show off, or you have to interact with people. You have to live that lifestyle. So this whole philosophy of we're going to go down this path of no human interaction, I think is wrong and completely misunderstood. So I think the key there with the financial world is there's always going to be somewhat of a financial advisor there. And I think that we've gotten away from the number. We've gotten too far into the numbers. Everyone owns the same stuff. Everyone's owning Vanguard, these mutual funds that own Apple, Amazon, Facebook. It's not as customized. I think the pendulum's actually going to swing from the opposite side of everyone is doing the same thing. Everyone does not have a customizable experience, to the real human interaction piece is going to make everything more customizable. I think that's where the industry's headed, is the more customizable aspect. Maybe the scale's not there. A lot of these Vanguards, BlackRocks got rich very quickly over the past couple of decades, managing trillions of dollars. I think that money is going to start flowing downward to individuals who have more of that personal connection that can help actually people out and aren't interested in just the numbers and aren't just interested in the aspects of investments. I'm interested, when I talk to clients, I'm interested in who they are as people, where they've been, where are they working, what are their goals and objectives in life? Because frankly, that's how I can build a portfolio best for them, is to really understand their goals and their risk and things like that. And that personal interaction, that personal connection, that personal customization, I think is where the industry's headed.
Do you do think that you see in the future you could have, individuals investing their own money rather than taking it to someone to invest it? Or if they do take it to someone to invest it, it's more of a personal experience rather.
Exactly. And I always say I'm somebody's personal CFO, right? They're the CEO of their situation. I'm their personal CFO. Yeah. It's not just about, again, the investments. It's about, how can I help them save on taxes too? How can I help them save on, some planning strategies, discipline, if they want to make a decision to buy an investment property or not buy an investment property. I mean, this is where it's not just about the public markets going ahead and allocating their capital for them. Alternatives are becoming a bigger piece, right? When private equity, direct lending, even these commodities, gold, I mean, even art, bourbon, all these other kind of things that you never would think about are becoming more coins. I mean, all these things are becoming more investment pieces, right? That you can kind of diversify into a portfolio. So, what I always say, it's again, not just about the numbers. It's about being someone's personal CFO to make them sleep better at night. Because frankly, people care about that a lot too. It's not just the returns. It's about being able to sleep at night, knowing that somebody else is watching it rather than them having to stay up, do research themselves and take care of it themselves.
Right. Thank you very much, Luke. Is there any final advice or words that you'd say to young teenagers looking to get into finance?
Yeah. Again, don't be afraid to ask for what you want. I want that to be the key theme here, is just to go out and do what you want. Also,
Yeah.
I'm a Napoleon Hill. I believe in a lot of Napoleon. I don't know if you guys have ever read Napoleon Hill, like Think and Grow Rich or Outwitting the Devil is another book that he wrote. A lot of really good books for the younger generations or for people in their 20s starting off in a career. Really in life, all you need to do is think about what you want out of life and truly believe. And this is the key that most people can't. Well, most people can't think about what they want. They're just kind of robots operating within society. But you also have to truly believe that you can do what you want to do. And it sounds so simple, but by just thinking about what you want to do in life and truly believing you can do it will automatically, that passion will put you in the right rooms with the right people that will ultimately allow you to do whatever you want to do in life. I firmly believe that. So just think about what you want out of life, truly believe you can do it, and don't be afraid to ask people for help along the way, because no one ever does anything by themselves.
Thank you very much, Luke, for taking the time to share your insights and experiences with us. Your perspective, coming from a rich background in finance and media, is invaluable to our young financiers and investors. The FinTeens community is dedicated to inspiring and educating the youth about the dynamic financial world, and your wisdom today has undoubtedly contributed to that mission. To our listeners, we hope this conversation has provided you with a deeper understanding and inspiration to pursue your passions in the financial realm.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.